When we think about the food on our plates, there's often a whole story behind it we never even consider. Today, we're going to get into one of those stories, a really common but kind of hidden practice in farming, the castration of male pigs. So why does this happen to millions and millions of animals every year? Let's find out.
It really boils down to this question: why the different treatment? And the answer, well, it's this fascinating mix of biology, what we as consumers expect from our food, and more, our changing ideas about animal welfare.
You see, the whole reason for this divide comes down to the very different jobs that male and female pigs have in modern farming. Their entire purpose dictates how they're raised, right from the get-go.
Okay, so here's the deal. Male pigs that are raised for meat get castrated for two big reasons. One, it helps manage their aggression, which makes it way easier to house them in groups. But the main reason, the really crucial one, is all about the quality of the meat. Female pigs, well, they're naturally more docile, and they don't have this meat quality problem we're about to dive into. So they're either raised for meat as is or kept for breeding, which obviously means castration is a no-go.
And that brings us to the number one, absolute biggest reason for castration. It's a problem that can completely ruin the experience for anyone eating pork, and in the industry, it has a name: boar taint.
So what on earth is boar taint? Basically, it's a really unpleasant smell and taste that can develop in the meat of male pigs that haven't been castrated, right around the time they hit puberty. It's something farmers have known about for ages, and it all comes down to two specific chemicals.
All right, so culprit number one is a compound called androstenone. This is actually a male pheromone, and it builds up in the pig's fat. People say it has a smell like urine or sweat. Then there's culprit number two, skatole. This stuff is produced in the pig's gut. Now, normally, the liver just filters it out, no problem. But in mature male pigs, all those sex hormones get in the way and stop the liver from doing its job, which leads to this really foul, fecal-like odor.
And yeah, you can just imagine how awful that would be. We're not talking about subtle flavors here. For the people who can smell it, it's overpowering and just really unpleasant. It can make the meat completely inedible.
But here's a super interesting twist. It turns out, not everyone can even smell it. Your ability to detect boar taint is literally written into your DNA. But since a pretty big chunk of the population can smell it, the pork industry just can't take the risk of putting tainted meat on grocery store shelves.
So we get why it's done, but how it's traditionally been done, well, that's where things get really controversial. This has become a huge issue, and it's the main reason things are starting to change, especially over in Europe.
For a very long time, the standard way to do this was to perform the surgery on tiny piglets, just a few days old. And here's the kicker: it was done without any pain relief at all.
I mean, you can imagine, this causes incredible sharp pain. Animal welfare groups have shown it triggers a massive stress response in the piglets, and of course, there's always the risk of infection afterward. All of this has led to a huge amount of pressure from the public and from regulators to find a better, more humane way.
Then all that pressure, it actually sparked a lot of innovation. It's led to some pretty clever new ways to solve the boar taint problem without all the cruelty of the old method. So let's take a look at what the solutions are today.
Okay, in Europe, they've really leaned into three main alternatives. First up, countries like the UK and Spain just don't castrate them. They raise the male pigs intact. Then, on the slaughter line, they have trained human sniffers or even electronic noses that check each carcass. If one has boar taint, it gets pulled and used for things like sausage, where the strong flavor can be masked. Second, there's something called immunocastration. It's basically a vaccine that just temporarily shuts down the hormones that cause the taint. And third, in places like Germany and France, they still do the surgery, but now they're required by law to use anesthesia and pain relief.
But wait, there's actually more to it than just animal welfare. It turns out that leaving male pigs intact, just as they are, comes with a pretty surprising economic bonus for the farmers.
It all comes down to those natural male hormones. Intact boars are just way better at turning their food into lean muscle. They grow faster and more efficiently than castrated pigs. What that really means is they need less feed to get to market weight, which saves farmers money, and hey, it even has a smaller environmental footprint. It's a win-win. So this whole story of pig castration is really a perfect little window into how our food systems are always changing, right? You've got this constant push and pull between what we want our food to taste like, the economics of farming, new science, and our growing sense of what's right when it comes to animal welfare. It kind of leaves you with a bigger question. As our technology and our values keep evolving, what other things that we take for granted about our food might be next to change?